To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejados de las
This here's
puertas.
a wild ride in the wilderness.
When indiscreetly doors change.
So today on Miles from Main Street, we are talking Disney merchandise. We had the 50th, it's almost over, and we're coming into the 100th. And Disney's been coming out with some pretty great merchandise. The whole 50th merchandise run, I liked a lot of it, and I'm really excited for the 100th. But we'll see what we all think of everything.
Yeah, you know, if you go to Creation Shop at Epcot, it's hard to say Creations Shop. I wish they wouldn't have done that. But anyway, if you're in Epcot at that store, you can have Epcot 40th, Disney World 50th, and Disney 100. Like, it's all right there in a row, and it's kind of crazy that we have all the anniversaries. You can get all the anniversaries you want, but that's fun. So you guys, before we get too much further, love it if you would go and share it with somebody. We've been getting a lot of growth in the last month. So if you're out there sharing it with someone, it's really, really helping us. And I hope you'll go and share it with someone to continue helping us. So thanks for listening. And I am excited to talk about merchandise.
So speaking of Creation Shop too, I just want to throw this out there. I know it's a little early for me to be plugging my own, my other own channel, but in Magical Life, we just did an Epcot video, and we go into Creations Shop, and the background music at Creations Shop is next level. It's probably because I like that kind of music, but we were in there super early in the morning. There was almost nobody in there, and I was actually able to hear the music. I went onto Spotify, and they actually have a playlist of all of the songs for Creation Shop. So I listen to it like almost all the time because all the music is awesome. But anyways, yeah, we'll put it in the show notes. I always forget. Honestly, I've been forgetting about the Epcot 40th. I think the last thing that I saw that was Epcot 40th was the band on the new Figment popcorn bucket that they're coming out with, which is just the old one. But yeah, I keep forgetting about Epcot 40th, so I feel like they're either not pushing that as hard, or they just kind of came out with a bunch of stuff, threw it out there, and like haven't been like reloading it or anything like that. Because I just I don't know, I haven't seen a lot of 40th stuff.
I don't know that they want us to care about Epcot 40th. You know, it was interesting leading up to this past October 1st. Like, there wasn't any mention of a celebration. There wasn't any kind of anything happening. And then all of a sudden, about a week before, they brought out some merchandise and said, yeah, we're going to do a little thing. Or I don't even know if they did anything that day, but I'm having trouble remembering offhand. But, they did bring out some merch, and it might just be that they want to focus on the 50th and now the 100th and not worry about some of these other anniversaries right now.
I don't know. Yeah, I just feel like, and it's funny because I love Epcot, and Epcot 40th is really cool. And I've always kind of assumed, just kind of looking at the way that Disney has come out with merch now, with the 50th and then now the 100th. I don't know. Maybe it was just me who made it a huge deal about all of the 50th merch. I liked it a lot. I loved the colorway of the 50th. I loved the design of everything. So I got really into that. So I guess I just kind of assumed that whenever Disney, because I bet they made a crap ton of money off of sales on that stuff. And so I guess I was just always assuming anytime Disney was able to come out with like an anniversary merch or something of that nature, merch that's like around something new and exciting for people, that they were just going to like push the crap out of it because it was so successful for the 50th. And I mean, I guess that's happening right now for the 100th. although, I mean, we'll get into this later, I just don't think they've come out with as much as they did for the 50th. And maybe that is because it was in Disney World, and Disney World is more of a vacationer's park, or really more of a vacationer's resort. So like they needed more stuff. They needed more stuff to stock all of their stores with, and different things. Whereas in Disneyland, it's more of a locals park. So like they don't need all that much. But I mean, we don't know yet because they just dropped 100th merch just recently, and I'm assuming they're going to be coming out with more stuff. So
Yeah, the 100th stuff, they've been pushing that out quite a bit already. I know they put that out before the end of the year in both of the parks, which I was kind of surprised by. I was expecting to see it on January 27th, but they must have got it in early or something. So, but you know, if you look back at the kickoff to the 50th, like it flopped. People were not happy with what they did, and you know, I kind of gave them a pass on it though, because we were still coming out of COVID. They really weren't sure what they were able to do at that point. Even though they had opened things up, like things were starting to flare up again. So it was kind of like I felt like it was kind of a touch and go situation. They weren't sure how much they should be doing. So anyway, I thought we'd get more out of the 50th that day on October 1st last year. But you know, I've seen Disney do this many times. If something flops, the next time something like that comes around, they're very timid with it. They're afraid to put something into it. You know, like you look at the Star Wars, this last trilogy, they put out Solo and it flopped hard because they put it out so quickly. The movie was still a great movie, and we can have that long discussion on another show if we want. But that, you know, they then had, I mean, we're still seeing the effects of that. They have pulled everything that they were going to put out, except for those last couple of or I guess it wasn't the last couple. We saw Rise of Skywalker come out, but they pulled everything in-house, and it's all gone to Disney Plus at this point. They're really afraid to put something out in the theater right now. And so I wonder if the flop of the 50th at Disney World may have fed the apprehension on the Epcot 40th. And they did finally get some merchandise out there, but it's been very quiet. There has not been multiple lines of merchandise like they've done with the 50th. So it might be just a combination of the two, right? So the 50th, anyway, you know, like I've been pretty happy with what they've done. They did update the show. We Are the Magic, I guess is the song. Is that the name of the show?
Is it well? So like the official saying is "You Are the Magic," but I thought it had a different name. And you're talking about like the fireworks, right?
Yeah, I'm going with the fireworks. Like I was pleased that they updated it with, you know, putting Walt at the beginning of it.
Oh no, not Harmonious, because that's Epcot. We're totally blanking on this. This is hilarious. We only run a Disney podcast. This is how, and it's funny. Okay, real talk. I had a friend text me the other day. It was a comment on a video that I saw that was like, this is how forgettable the fireworks were. For the new fireworks, that like they had completely forgot like anything about it. And like the fact that like Walt was in it in the beginning, they had completely forgotten about that because they were just so forgettable.
I think it's true. I think that following up to Happily Ever After, I mean, they were forgettable. The show is kind of forgettable. Yeah. So forgettable that we can't remember the dang name of it, which is Enchantment. It's Enchantment.
Enchantment, yeah. And it's funny though, because it grew on me mainly because I had some like pretty important things happen like within that year, and those fireworks were always like what we would watch and be happy about. So like it's definitely grown on me, and I don't think it's like the worst thing in the world. but it's not a happily ever after. Like it's not something like that. So yeah, I would agree that that flopped, and I think one of the big reasons is because Disney, and this is, I mean, a good thing that Disney did, but maybe not do it in the future. They had, was it like an ex-cast member who had started, like he was like a Grammy award winning music producer that actually produced like the special music for it. Obviously there's music in the middle that's Disney music, which most of that is really great. Like that part of the fireworks and that part of everything is really cool, but it's bookended by this song that a ex Disney cast member who became a music producer made. And not to take anything away from him, he did a very, very great job, but it's just not what Disney usually puts out. So it's like not what I was expecting to happen with everything. Now, on the flip side of that, Harmonious, I think, is amazing. That music that they have in there is so cool. I'm kind of
good.
sad. I'm kind of sad to see Harmonious go. Like,
I
what
am
are they
too.
going to put in there?
Right. I am, and this is the other thing that we see Disney do all the time, right? Like something doesn't get quite as good of reviews on it, maybe, and they pull the plug too quickly. And like I think they've started selling Enchantment better. I think, like you said, this music is amazing. The way that some of the music has been I don't want to say rewritten, but reproduced or whatever. Like the performances of these numbers are just awesome. I think the ending could use a little work because they're using a song from that was cut from a movie nobody saw. But like I think if they wanted to re-up or revamp that ending, I think it would be great. I think the show is still great. But all of that said about the music, and maybe they'll keep the music because it really does fit Epcot well. But like I think it was doomed from the beginning because they shortened the window of where you can see it from. Instead of just being able to pick a spot around the lagoon, you have to be either in the that transition area between World Showcase and whatever they're calling the stuff in the front of the park. Or you have to be in America, like in that area, to see full on to the screen. You need to be in those spots. And that really ruins kind of how Epcot is built for fireworks. And maybe that's why they're throwing it away. But I hope they keep some of the music and still use it in whatever the new show ends up being.
Yeah. But anyways, back to merchandise. 50th merchandise. That was a good little fireworks tangent. But yeah, so the cool thing about that and what Brian brought up was that the beginning of the 50th kind of flopped. And I mean, I did too. I kind of gave them a pass because it was coming out of COVID. COVID was definitely still a thing. The first time I went to Disney during the 50th was masked. I was masked most of the time. But I would say that, I would say that they've redeemed themselves with everything that has come out after that. And I also don't think that Disney, I haven't seen earnings for specific merchandise sales. This is coming from a merchandiser. This is what I do for work. And it would be cool to take a look at like what that did because, and this is another point I kind of want to bring up is people were buying the stuff. Like they were buying it. It was difficult to find specific
Absolutely.
things. I remember when Kristen and I first went for the 50th, she was looking for those iridescent ears. Nowhere. They were nowhere. And I mean, the sad part is we ended up buying them online. And so resellers were coming in and just buying stuff up. They actually had to put a limit for buying on people because of the resellers, which is cool. And not 100% that it's actually being enforced all the time, because I'm still seeing websites with like, I think when I bought Kristen's ears, it was like 64 sold. I'm like, how did you have 64 sets of iridescent ears? Like, how did you make that happen? Like, just think of and that's just one person. Just think if those 64 ears were still sitting in the park for people in the park to buy. This is a hill that I'm going to die on. But like, yeah, and the way that I kind of put it when I bought this stuff was like, yeah, I'm happy that I was able to buy these ears, but it would have been so much more magical and meant so much more if we had found them in the park and bought them in park rather than on eBay from a reseller. So that kind of sucked. But the thing was like people were buying stuff. So I wonder, so like you and I may think, oh, that kind of flopped, but I wonder what the numbers were in merchandising for Disney, if they saw that as profitable or if it wasn't, because they were, I mean, it was like almost like every 3 months they were coming out with like a new line, and people would always go nuts with it, and there was always like one or two things that like would sell out immediately. And to be honest, as a Disney fan, I found that fun. Like new 50th stuff would drop, and then you would wait to see it on Shop Disney, and then it would get on Shop Disney, and most likely it would sell out within that day if it was really popular. But yeah, I thought that was really cool with the 50th. That was probably one of my favorite things that happened during the 50th, was all the fun merch that they were just continually dropping like throughout the celebration. So that was pretty cool. So I wonder if they're going to do that. But then also, your point, Brian, is that they saw that flop in the beginning. So it's possible, like, I think my thought process is maybe they're not coming out with stuff, like a lot of stuff right away, because they know that it's going to take people a little bit to like start to latch on to that merch, and like let that merch like really start to get real popular. So maybe that's what they're going to end up doing, is like not pushing it all out there. Because I would imagine, and this is just from like, I work for a smaller company, and we're putting stuff out, or we're working on stuff right now that's not going to happen for like another like 6 months. So I would imagine that when they decided the 100th was going to be a thing, that they were like, okay, merchandise, what are we going to have? And like they already have a lot of this stuff planned out. So, but then again, who knows? Also, who knows if they're going to get it from China anytime soon? Because I'm sure that was a big thing with the 50th, that possibly things were getting sprinkled in because they didn't even have the merchandise yet.
Yeah, I'm sure that there was a lot of delay on some of the stuff, like at the beginning of the celebration, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, like I'm looking over your shoulder, I see the Mickey Mouse popcorn bucket, the Minnie Mouse one, and like that's all great stuff. Like you were talking about the colors, the iridescent colors, like all of that is wonderful. And it took them a while to get Mickey in the park.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like when they first dropped things, they had the balloon popcorn buckets, but they didn't have Mickey. And that was disappointing because I wanted one right away, and now I don't have one, and I think I'm okay. I'll check myself later and make sure that I'm still okay. But but the, you know, like and this is what I worry about with Disneyland, because we're going to be going out there a week after 1 week after it starts. And I know that popcorn bucket is going to be there. And I really want this one. Like, it is awesome. It's the new animation style. Like, I really want this one. I'm very concerned it's not going to be there. But I'm trying to go back to Christmas, and they had those popcorn buckets that were like the popcorn tin, and it rotated and played music. Those never sold out. They had plenty of them. They still have plenty of them. So I'm hoping, because this is a year-long celebration, that they're doing the same thing with this Mickey bucket, whereas it'll just be there, and anyone that wants it can get it. So that's my hope. But these are the things I worry about, and I know in the next week or two we're going to be seeing more Disney 100 stuff coming out. I know they've already come out and shown a little bit of what they're going to be dropping this summer. Like, I'm only going once to Disneyland this year, people. I'm not going to be able to get that summer stuff. Like, don't do this to me. I'm going to be running around this summer. I just know it, trying to find stuff. But yeah, I'm hoping that the stuff that they release then is going to be out. I just went on a multiple big tangent there and kind of lost my thought stream, so I hope I'm making some sense. Mikhailo, bail me out here.
Oh, it's all in there, and I think the one I want to kind of pull out of there is the fact that now, and that Christmas popcorn bucket was huge. I was seeing that everywhere. Like, everyone was buying it. It was a huge deal to get one. And like you said, they never sold out. So I'm wondering if just, and kind of to backtrack, when I went for Halloween, they had almost no Halloween party merch. Like, when we had special priority to try to get to the Halloween merch, like right when it dropped. Like, they cleared everybody out of the Emporium, at least in that area. And then once it opened up, you needed to like show that you were like a part of the party to be able to go in and like try to get that merch. And like, when we got in there, like, they didn't have sizes. They were sold out of a bunch of stuff. And I think this was kind of like in the middle. Like, we weren't like super early, but we also weren't like super close to Halloween. So I found that interesting. But I think now that like the like shipping and stuff has like gotten a little better. Like, we're not seeing ships just like sitting out in the harbor in California. At least, I mean, I haven't heard of that in a while. And the industry that I'm in revolves around shipping a lot. So I'm hoping that like the shipping and everything like that is only going to help Disney keep things in stock and like get their initial stock right away, so that they'll be like very well stocked on stuff. Because I did find that interesting that popcorn bucket never sold out. And it was really cool, and it was super popular for like a good 2 weeks. Like, people were showing it everywhere.
Yeah, and I know that watching some of the live streams, like right before Christmas, even just after Christmas, they were still sitting there being sold. Like, they had oodles of them, right? So, I'm hoping that all this Disneyland stuff that we're gonna be hoping to get our hands on when we're there is available. So anyway, like, yeah, to get a little specific into some of the merchandise that's coming out, like looking at the Disney 100 stuff, that black jacket with the embroidered 100th on the back.
Yeah.
Like, I love that they're running with the Roaring 20s type of theme. Like, that's Leonardo DiCaprio for you that aren't in the know like I am. Leo was in The Great Gatsby, and it kind of has some of that same design that they used for that movie. And I'm loving it. I think it's awesome what they've done with it, and I can't wait to get my hands on some of it.
And so far, I feel like for the 50th, they came out with a lot of stuff, and it's possible that like we're not seeing everything. Like, there's going to be magnets and junk when we get to Disneyland, but I feel like they've come out with like your basics. Like, you've got Spirit jerseys, you've got sweaters, you've got shirts, and then you've got all of like the little more like gifty stuff for the 100th. But I haven't seen anything like like when the 50th rolled around, they had like a 50th monorail train set, like stuff like that. Like, they slapped 50th on like almost everything that you could sell in the Emporium. And honestly I found that cool because I liked the 50th and everything. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see like what else comes out. I know that to talk about stock a little bit, Brian. This is kind of like breaking news. Only it's been a thing for like 3 days now, I think. But the purple hoodie for the 100th is back in stock, and I've I have it in my basket, whatever you call that. My
Cart.
my shopping cart for Disney. I just haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. So hopefully it doesn't sell out again. But like that's back and fully stocked. Like I'm not talking about like just my size. Like all the sizes are fully stocked. And like it was only out of stock, I want to say, for like a couple weeks. So that's interesting too. So I think shipping is better. I think like stock is going to be better for this stuff. So that's fun. But yeah, I feel like at least what I'm seeing, I haven't dug too deep into it. I feel like you're seeing a lot of the basics for the 100th right now. So yeah, it's gonna suck if we go there and we just see like all this normal stuff, and then we go home and like 2 months later they're like, check out all this 100th stuff, and they just like come out with so much more.
Oh, you know they're going to. Like you said, this is the
sure.
basics. I'm holding out hope that there's going to be something that they throw out there when we get there, because it's the kickoff, right? Like I'm hoping that there's just a little bit more, but who knows? But you know, as we've been talking here, I keep thinking like this is the 100th of the company, not of any of the parks.
Mm-hmm.
So while some of this stuff is like 100th or park specific stuff, like I know there's some things that say Disneyland or some things that say Disney World. I'm specifically thinking about the Spirit jerseys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're, you know, like we got to remember this is the 100th of the company. So one of the things like that they did back in December was that they did a brand new Oswald short, and that they're kind of leaning into that a little bit right now is one of the things that they've already done to start celebrating, right? And that's not park specific. And I think that's awesome. I'm a little bit of an Oswald geek. I think Oswald's pretty awesome. I think the new short they did was really cool and definitely worth your time to go check out. They showed it during the parade on Christmas morning, and they cut it's a minute long, and they cut it down to like 25 seconds. So I definitely suggest going out and seeing the whole thing. It's only a minute. It's on YouTube, real easy to find. And like they hit all the different points of who Oswald is, and they just like they hit it all. And so I'm going to stop geeking out on that right now. But they did create an Oswald new emo. Did you see that? That just came out, or they just announced it last week.
I actually do. I think I saw that.
Yeah, and it's on Shop Disney, and I'm going to get my hands on one when we go. I can't pass that up, and I'm hoping that there's some cool like outfit that I have to put on him too that will make sense. I don't know. These things were out the last time we were at Disney, and I looked at them, and for some reason I was into it. I don't know why. Why do I want a small character that I'm supposed to dress in different things? Like, and they're popular. People are buying them, and they just keep cranking out new ones. And I thought I was going to have to buy the Kermit. I'm not so sold on the Mickey for some reason, but this Oswald is so cool. So I'm all over the Oswald. They hit it perfect with this one. For whatever reason, the animation, if I can call it that, the style of the new emo like just hits Oswald perfectly. Like he looks really cool. So anyway, they're also coming out with like we're talking merch here. So they're also coming out with a new Funko line for the 100th. And there's going to be this scary looking Donald Duck. He's black and white, or like gray, what they call it, like grayscale. There's going to be a Goofy. there's a Mickey that he's half grayscale and he's half colored. That looks really neat. And so like I think Walmart's getting Donald, Target's getting Goofy. I'm trying to remember all of them, but there's going to be a couple of Oswalds, and there's going to be a Chase Oswald too, where he's wearing like a top hat, and that's going to drive me insane because I'll never get a Chase. I just know I won't, but I'm going to want it. So maybe I need to save up my pennies and just buy it on eBay for whatever it ends up being. But yeah, so just some cool things they're coming out with. They're coming out with one that's got Walt holding a sketch of Steamboat Willie.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing oh goodness, a couple of other things that have like they're in a big frame. They're like $50, but it's a Funko Pop with a frame, because they've started doing that with certain comic characters and different backgrounds. Oh, there's a Snow White one. That's what it is. But anyway, yeah, enough on Funko and that, but I could geek out on merchandise all day.
It's funny. I watched a video the other day about how Funko is like starting to die because they're coming out with too many Funkos. Like, because there's Funko Pop, and this isn't just a Disney thing. There's Funko Pops for like almost anything you can think of.
Oh yeah.
So there's just so many of them. But I think that's the thing that kind of works is that like Disney fans like because I have a couple Funkos. I love my Mickey in a People Mover Funko. It's so cool. But I think that's the thing is that like us Disney people like have really latched on to those things. And this is kind of more of like a general comment because it's like Funkos, like that wasn't like a specifically Disney thing. Like you see Funkos for everything. And we enjoyed that. Spirit jerseys, like I don't even really know why Spirit jerseys took off, but like all like cuz again, Spirit jersey you can get Spirit jerseys for anything. But for some reason at Disney they have gotten really popular. So I think Disney does a good job of and it only makes sense. Like take a look at what people are starting to like and push that more and make it a thing. And so Disney's been very good at that for good reason because they can make good money. And I know that in my household we have like probably around like 10 or 12 Spirit jerseys now. It's pretty insane. So yeah, just like us Disney people, we tend to latch on to things, and that was it. Like Funko Pops, that was another thing that I first saw them at a Disney park, and I thought they were just Disney, but they're everywhere. So
yeah, I don't know where you saw that about Funko dying. I'll believe it when I see it, I guess. I just bought the Disney Happiest Day game, which is Funko has been branching out into making board games. And I was going to mention it earlier because all they did was slap a sticker on it for the Walt Disney World 50th. And you know that when that's done being celebrated, like that sticker's just not going to be there anymore. But back to Funko, like I was collecting these things 10 years ago and I had probably 60, 70 of them. And I had them all set up in my dining room. I had 3 shelves long of these things. Like I ran out of room. And they were starting to Beanie Baby them then to really age myself. They were starting to really, overproduce on them. And I started losing interest then. And this is already like they had hit their peak at that point. And then they just started mass producing them like crazy. And I was losing interest because at that time when I first started getting into it, I was like, oh, this is a really cool collectible. I'm going to start buying these up. And, I had a buddy down in Oshkosh that was like, he had his whole basement was covered wall to wall.
You got to say it like Oshkosh.
Like Oshkosh. Anyway, and he was going even crazier than I was buying them. He was traveling hours to find different ones, and he was trying to be a completionist with it, and after a little while, I'm like, I can't keep up with these. So then I started focusing on the Star Wars ones, and that got to be overwhelming as well. And I finally lost interest. Again, 10 years ago. And I sold off a ton of them. And then I started going to the stores, and I've picked up. I'm back up to. I just counted them the other day. I'm looking at my display right now. I have almost 60 again, and it's a mix of Star Wars and Disney. It's mostly Star Wars, but there's a good handful of Mickeys and a couple of other things. I got the entire line of those People Mover ones you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And they're awesome. Yeah, I completely agree. They're terrific. So I'll believe it when it actually happens if Funko dies, because I thought it was happening 10 years ago and they just kept on going. So, and even before I got into it, I remember standing, and this is probably like 2012, 11, somewhere in that time period. I was standing inside of a comic book shop, and they had a Chase, I want to say Aquaman or something, sitting there. And they were, I don't know, $30, $40 maybe. And I kind of laughed at it like, look at that thing. That's weird. Who would ever want to buy something like that? Okay, well, that Funko Pop now is like a $10,000 Funko Pop. And it's like, oh, I screwed up, because now here I am buying them.
Yeah, and to kind of go off of that, and this is actually a Disneyland story too, but when I went to Disneyland for the Rose Bowl, I hadn't gotten a Spirit jersey yet, and this was like Spirit jerseys were kind of like just starting to take off, like you were starting to see them more places, and I had kind of assumed that like they were just for girls because I saw a lot of girls wear them. But I liked them and I thought they were cool, and I was like, it's fun. It says Disneyland on the back. It's cool. It's almost like a sweater shirt type thing. And I had like convinced myself. I was like, I'm not going to get one. Like, I don't have to, like they seem like they're just for girls. It's fine. And I was walking out of, I think it's the World of Disney in Disneyland too. I was walking out, and some big burly dude with a huge beard walked in with the exact Spirit jersey I was looking at. And after looking at him, I was just like, okay, cool. And it's bad because I needed that that little push to let me know like I can like what I like. It's fine. And it was a little superficial because I needed somebody else to do it. But at the same time, I was like, I think I like these. I'm not sure. And then I just needed that little push to be like, okay, yeah. And now I have a lot of them. And sometimes I'll just wear them out in public just because I like them and they're really cool. And I can't wait to wear a whole bunch of them in Disneyland because that'll be awesome. But yeah, it's kind of that same thing where I wasn't sure about it, and then I saw somebody else wearing one, and he was this big dude. He was muscular, and he had a huge beard, and I was just like, if this guy can wear Spirit jerseys and pull it off, I can wear Spirit jerseys and pull it off. And
with the Spirit jerseys, it's the same thing as you were with Funko. I completely thought it was just a Disney thing, and then I was at the store, and I was like, wait a minute, this is a Spirit jersey. What's this doing here? And like you said, they're for everything now, so you can get them anywhere. But it's totally 90s style, totally. I feel like Zach Morris was wearing them. Something like that anyway. That was good. I like that content.
Yeah, I love merchandise. It's a large part of my Disney going experience.
I think it is for all of us, right?
Oh yeah, and for like my Disney going experience is chopped up into like 3 different areas. There's dining, which is way up top. Like that's almost like I'll go to Disney just for the dining sometimes. But it's like dining, parks, merch. That's kind of how I split it up. So yeah, it's a big part of like what I like to do, and just shopping in general, and like looking for merch and finding fun merch at Disney. That's usually how I like try to end my day, is just in the Emporium, and I'm just dead tired. It's 1 a.m. and I'm looking at all of the stuff. Like I can't leave the park until I've looked at everything.
The merch is a big for me because I love looking at it and having it at home, but I don't focus on it like you do. It's more the history, it's more the experience of being in the parks. But the merch definitely is something that I can bring home and relive the other things that I got to do while I was there. It's just kind of my way to hang on to it.
Exactly.
So, yeah, definitely. So, guys, find us out on Instagram and Facebook. The links are in the show notes. We'd love to have you join us out there. We're doing a lot of talking and having conversations, so it'd be great to have you guys join us out there.
But like we always say, some live close,
but others don't.
So let's talk about it. We'll see you next time on Miles from Main Street.